So iDubbbz released this video a few days ago about Creator Clash 2, and in it he essentially says it was a massive failure and lost something around $250,000.
For Creator Clash 2, despite it being a fun event and despite good fights and a lot of creators sacrificing a lot of time, money, and energy, we lost $250,000 on the event.
He goes on to say that he's ashamed and he feels like he let everyone down and so on, which is not an entirely illegitimate feeling to have, considering you promised that you were going to be raising money for charity, and the money that people were giving in the form of pay-per-view or merch or whatever else they got would be going to charity. There was an understanding of that, and that didn't happen. So the fact that he's upset about it is something I think that is correct. But I wanted to get on here and talk about the failure of Creator Clash 2 because I feel like there are several reasons that this failed and went wrong, and they're all worth discussing. For those of you that might not know, Creator Clash 1 was a huge success. There were tons and tons of really well-known YouTubers that showed up and they trained and they boxed, outstanding event, and they raised something in the ballpark of $1.3 million for various charities. There was also something like 100,000 pay-per-view tickets bought, which absolutely makes sense when you look at the caliber of YouTubers that were at this event. I mean, just look at the card. You got Graham Stefan, Michael Reeves, Dr. Mike of The Odd Ones Out, I Did a Thing. I mean, these are huge names, and having these huge names is almost directly what led to the success of this, and that's the first big issue that I want to address with iDubbbz's video. A lot of people in the comments actually point this out on this video if you scroll down, but the fight was simply not marketed very well. A lot of people here are saying that they didn't even know that Creator Clash 2 was happening until basically the day that it happened or afterwards when they heard about whatever went on and who won the various fights. There was essentially no marketing done, and the primary reason that the first one was so good was because of the caliber of YouTuber that showed up in order to box. These YouTubers promoted it to their audiences that were huge, and that got other YouTubers to talk about their YouTuber friends who were fighting in these Creator Clash events, and it created kind of a ripple effect where more and more people heard about it, and so they all showed up in order to support the one event. But this year, the event was even more expensive according to iDubbbz because they tried to make a bigger arena and they got more YouTubers to show up, and the production team tried to do more stuff, which cost more money. But at the same time as they had more expenses, they also had a lower caliber of YouTuber. Not that these YouTubers are better or worse, but simply the number of subscribers they have and the size of their audience and their community was just much smaller in Creator Clash 2 than it was in Creator Clash 1. And it doesn't take crazy math to understand that if you have a smaller amount of people being potentially appealed to in the form of the subscribers of the YouTubers that are going to be boxing, then it doesn't make sense to be spending more money on an event. There's no way you're going to recuperate that. Creator Clash only exists and is successful as an event because people know the creators that are in it and they show up in order to support their favorite creator. It isn't its own thing. It can't stand by itself. It's a brand and an event that is built on the creators. So when you have a brand that's built upon the creators and the creators are built upon the size of their audiences, then by association that brand or event is built on the number of total subscribers that it's appealing to. And if you have smaller creators that are fighting in the event, then you're gonna have a smaller audience. And if you have a smaller audience, then you have a smaller amount of money that's made. So of course you're gonna lose money on an event when you spend more money and know you're going to make less money.
But we didn't have any anti-piracy measures. We weren't prepared to deal with what ended up happening. Amongst the 800 pirated streaming sites, there were between 1.3 and 3 million viewers.
I think he's partially right about this, and I think there's two main issues there with what he said. One was the smaller creators that I've been harping on for way too long. People might want to watch because they have heard of Jarvis Johnson and think it'd be cool to see him box, but they might not love Jarvis Johnson so much that they want to spend $20 or $50 on a pay-per-view ticket. They're a little bit curious, but not so curious that they're willing to actually spend money on it. And I think there are lots of people in this kind of gray milkworm interest category. They care, but they don't really care that much. And the second thing was the Froggy Fresh drama. I feel like everything surrounding that did a pretty significant number on the reputation of iDubbbz and of Creator Clash. And for those of you that don't know what the Froggy Fresh drama is, I'm actually not 100% sure what went down, but basically Froggy Fresh trained with someone named Sam Pepper who was controversial, and he also insulted iDubbbz's mom or something like that, and so iDubbbz got upset either about the mom insult or about the training with Sam Pepper and told him not to come, but he said that nobody had ever reached out and told him not to show up to the event, and it was a whole big mess. I don't know, there are other videos on YouTube about this. But what's significant is that a lot of people were on Froggy Fresh's side. He was the creator that was kicked out, and a lot of people, including huge names like Moist Critical, sided with him. So this probably meant that some people who were going to buy the pay-per-view event but didn't want to because of the drama surrounding it, because they were on Froggy Fresh's side, decided to just pirate it instead because they felt justified in doing so. Because Creator Clash did what they viewed as a bad thing and injustice to Froggy Fresh, they decided to, instead of supporting it monetarily, just use a pirated website. That way they still got all the benefits of watching it, but didn't have the cost, and they felt like that was a morally okay thing to do, given what Creator Clash had done to Froggy Fresh.
I think we also had a big streamer audience. That's who we are appealing to. People who want to watch these events live, and they watch things on Twitch and YouTube, and they get it all for free generally. So I think it was, in a lot of ways, bad to appeal to that crowd and not give away the stream for free.
The next part of the video, he talks about how they have a pretty big streamer audience. And he says a lot of these people are used to having streaming for free with ads. And I think he's correct about that, because that's a huge missed opportunity. Because why, if you were primarily appealing to streaming audiences, would you not just have people co-stream it and then have the people that are co-streaming have all of the money go into one big pool for the charities? If it's available for free on Twitch or YouTube Live, then people aren't going to want to pirate it because there's no reason to. They can just watch it legitimately for free. Now, obviously, they would need to give pay-per-view viewers something in order to make it worth purchasing the pay-per-view ticket, such as exclusive merchandise or exclusive interviews, or maybe only the pay-per-view people can watch the weigh-ins or the roast sessions or something like that. You need to get creative with incentivizing people to purchase the pay-per-view tickets, but honestly, that shouldn't be that difficult. It should be pretty easy. You raffle off something like an interview with iDubbbz, or you get to hang out with Dr. Mike, a date with Dr. Mike, or something like that. There are things you can do in order to make pay-per-view tickets appealing to people who want to support Creator Clash and, by associations, the charities that they're working with.
Another thing I want to address is there are some people floating rumors around that we're pocketing money from Creator Clash, and that's extremely hurtful, because it has been nothing but the opposite.
This is one that I actually agree with him on. I don't think this is the case, and I feel like this is just a bad faith argument made by people who don't like iDubbbz and they want to stir up more drama surrounding him. There, I believe, were far too many people involved with Creator Clash 2 for iDubbbz to have pocketed the money. Plus, the potential hit to his reputation, I do not believe would be worth it to try and make a quick buck, especially since iDubbbz is probably already very, very rich.
What the hell are we gonna do? You know, I can't even think about doing a Creator Clash 3. We lost money and there's no money for charity. So what are we going to do to solve that?
And this is where I disagree with him. I think he can look to Creator Clash 3. I just think it needs to look different than Creator Clash 2. You can avoid drama, co-stream, market and promote it better, get YouTubers with larger audiences, and then just generally make it more like the first one, which lots of people, including myself, were really very excited for. I remember looking at the lineup for Creator Clash 2 being so hyped after how amazing Creator Clash 1 was, and there just weren't that many people that I was particularly interested. The only one that I really wanted to see box was Jarvis Johnson. And that's essentially the end of his video. He does then allude to there not being a Creator Clash 3, and frankly, I do think that is a mistake. He just needs to figure out what went right in the first one, what went wrong in the second one, and then go from there in order to make a more successful third one. And if he needs help with that, there are lots of creators that set up huge events all of the time. You know, Ludwig does it, XQC does it, Ludwig owns a company called Offbrand that does it, Ibai, the Spanish streamer, does it. There's no shortage of people that he can get in contact with that do huge events, and so to throw in the towel, pun intended, after just one went kind of poorly doesn't seem really great. But that's the whole situation and my thoughts on it. But if there's any updates about a Creator Clash 3, I'll definitely let you know. So go ahead and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.